Hello and welcome to the Data Career Academy podcast. This is a show dedicated to closing the information gap between data job seekers and hiring authorities about the challenging data analytics job market. My name is Albert Bellamy. I'm the host of the show, and it's my goal to highlight aspiring data analysts and their abilities in order to get them hired, to spotlight recent hires and how they successfully navigated the hiring process, as well as to find out from real industry experts what the job market looks like from the hiring side and how all of that can benefit you, the listener. So let's get into today's episode. All right, well, welcome to the show, Vicky Torres. How you doing today?
Thank you. I'm excited to be here with you today.
Yeah,
How are
me
you
too.
doing?
Doing very well, thanks. So for the people at home, I've been connected with Vicky for quite some time and followed her journey from like college graduate to intern to all sorts of other assorted job-like substances that I cannot wait to talk about because looking back, I was privy to some of it, but looking back, prepping for the interview, I was like, man, she has done a lot of stuff and love to see that. So, Vicky, the floor is yours. If you'd like to introduce yourself to us, please tell us about yourself.
Okay. Well, my name is Vicky Torres. I am an associate media planner at Worldwide for Sony Pictures Entertainment. Prior to being here, a little bit about my educational background. I got a bachelor's degree in information technology at the University of Laverne. And then I proceeded to pursue my master's degree in data analytics with a concentration in marketing. And then after that is when I really hopped on the journey of job hunting and unemployment and all the good things that we all experience after graduation and not really having any industry experience. And I'm sure the listeners can relate to that if you're on in the journey that I was on
Yes, they
not
can.
that long ago. We all know that it starts off like feeling, oh, like it's gonna be okay, like it's gonna probably take like a few months, we're gonna get there. And then once you hit that 6 month mark, you start questioning, like, what am I doing? You start internalizing whether you're the problem or you're the reason why you're not landing any interviews.
Mm.
I'm here to maybe hopefully walk you through like what I did and inspire you and provide you some tips that can hopefully be helpful and allow you to step into the world of employment and like being in your dream role, hopefully.
I love the terms, the world of employment, unemployment journey. I'm sitting here like, we just talked about not taking notes during a conversation. I'm like, no, I got to write this down. Um, Awesome. Well, since you steered it in that direction, this was not the order of the questions that I sent. Just for the viewers at home, I do send tentative questions and then I tell the guest, hey, we're going to go sideways on this right quick. I mean, you took it straight to the unemployment journey and talking about how you navigated that. Let's talk about that. What was that
Yeah,
like?
honestly, and I can really attest to the fact that you're not the only one in it. I
Mm,
remember, I graduated May 2024. I didn't land my role that I'm currently on until April of 2025. So it was almost a full year of unemployment in the role that I wanted to be in. I did like side jobs in the meanwhile and in between after graduating and being in the role that I'm in today. But once you hit that 6 month mark, you truly start to be like, okay, like, am I the only one? Is everybody else experiencing this?
yeah.
And then kind of just really talking to the people around me who were in the same situation and building that community really helped me a lot. I know that a lot of the people that I graduated with who also got their masters, we were all in the same boat and kind of creating that, I don't know, kind of understanding that you weren't really the problem and that it really is just like this job market.
Yeah.
It really is not welcoming of people who do not have industry experience. Sometimes it makes you feel like your efforts that you put into your educational career feel futile. Like you're like, okay, well then why did I put so much work into getting a bachelor's or getting a master's if it really weighs nothing in the minds of the recruiters or people who are looking at your resume. And yeah, a lot of the people that I graduated with literally didn't get a job until around the same timeline as I did. One of them got it like in April, the other person got it in June. So it was like a year plus of people kind of just like floating around on it, not really knowing what was going to happen and if their master's was like really worth anything in like helping us land that dream role that we wanted. So definitely kind of like fighting that imposter syndrome while at the same time wanting to be like action driven, not really letting these thoughts get to you. Like for me, I was like, okay, I know I'm feeling hopeless. I know I'm feeling like everything that I'm doing is not working, but I wanted to focus on, okay, but what can I do? What am I doing that is working? And like reaching out to people who are like in the field, like yourself. I would reach out to a lot of people and be like, hi, like, would you mind like looking over my resume? Kind of just getting different perspectives of people
Yeah.
who are in the industry and have experience in that. Doing a lot of like mock interviews with people and just I attended a lot of like social networking events for with recruiters. And then once we
Okay.
started talking, they'd be like, "Hey, like, would you be open to doing like a mock interview? Like, I'd always be down. Let me know if you have like an open spot. I'd be more than happy to do a mock interview with you." And just like making sure you are actually investing time in building those networks because more times than not, they're the ones who are gonna vouch for you. And if you find like an open position at their company, I know that personally for me, the only interviews that I ever got came through a referral and they were referrals
Mm,
with connections that I made through social networking
you're
events
singing
or
my song now.
yeah, or people that I like reach out to through LinkedIn,
Yeah.
just to like learn a little bit more about themselves. Kind of like the way that I approach reaching out to people to network, like in an online media like LinkedIn. Is like don't kind of just dive in and be like, "Hi, would you be open to like interview me or can you look over my resume?" Kind of
Mhm.
build an organic relationship with people. Be
Yeah.
interested in what they're doing. Kind of reach out and be like, "Hi, like I've noticed that you're in XYZ field. I'd love to hear more about your experience. I'd love to hear more about your journey." Kind of really be interested in their story because that is what's going to start a conversation that is going to create like an organic relationship and that will lead way to eventually being like them actually offering, oh, like I know you're looking for a job.
Yeah.
I'd be more than happy to do an interview with you. I'd be more than happy to look over your resume, such and such. So I feel like sometimes a lot of people are so eager to get to that like end goal of getting someone to review their resume or getting someone to do a mock interview that it comes across very transactional. And like a lot of people are not interested in a transactional relationship, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, but it can feel like I mean I love that you touched on the like the panic and the imposter syndrome and that ticking clock because it was funny
Mm-hmm.
when you said, "Hey, when you hit 6 months, like you're very conscious of that." And that's
Yeah.
so arbitrary. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
why 6 months? Just because we associate that with a significant date.
Yeah.
But it's funny that I mean, it wasn't funny at the time, I'm sure, but you and all your classmates felt like, hey, it's been 6 months since graduation. What are we doing? Are we failing? Are we the
Mm-hmm.
problem? So awesome that you had a support network. Sucks that you were all still unemployed, or at least the group you're talking about.
Yeah.
But, how great that you actually had a network you could talk to and come to a consensus like, hey, all right, we're not all terrible. Like clearly there's something going on here.
Yeah.
But did you guys so I'm curious about that now. Like did you and your peer group, your mastermind if you will, did you guys share like information, tips and tricks like, hey, this is working for me, this is working for me, and do you feel like you made each other better?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like beyond just like the group that I had with the people or the classmates that I graduated with, I was constantly trying to find communities of people who were also in the same boat as I was. So
Okay.
I joined co-op. So co-op is a fellowship that is essentially an organization that helps underemployed students or underrepresented communities land a role upon graduation. So it's a free program that you basically sign up for as if it was a job. You send an application and then you get interviewed. The interview is very unique because it's a group interview. So you're getting interviewed with everybody else who applied. And
Wow.
it was very I really loved it because you really through the interview, you got to see what the program was going to be like. It was very community centered.
Okay.
And so co op was another way for me to kind of build my social network and kind of get in, I guess, build a community of people who were going to provide me with the resources that I needed to kind of get out of the what I considered at the time was like my funk. I was like, I like hit a plateau where I'm sending all these applications and I'm just not getting anywhere. Like I'm not getting called back for an interview. Like I'm just, it felt like I was just sending applications into a void that were never going to see the light of day. And I was like, well, what am I going to do about it? Like, I have to get in touch with real people who are going to be able to provide me with tips and advice that maybe people around me can't. You know, I'm a first generation student, so my family like has no idea what it's like. They're
Yeah.
entrepreneurs, so they started their own business.
Supportive, but they can't give you any advice.
Yeah, they're like, well, why
Yeah.
don't you do this? And my family were Hispanic, so their mentality is a lot like, well, mija, why don't you go to the companies in person and hand in your application? And I'm like, they don't accept applications like that. Like, you need to submit it online. And
They
they're
would
like,
look at you a little funny. They would be like,
they'd be
what are you
like,
doing? You'd be
uh,
talking to a security guard.
I know you'd be like, where do you
Yeah.
want me to send it? It's like,
Yeah.
okay. So it's like, it's kind of also kind of being in that like circle of having people who are being, I don't know, empathetic to your situation, but not really understanding the struggles that come
Yeah.
with it. And that was my way of trying to find a community of people who did. And also people who kind of understood. I was like, I need a grown up to tell me what to do. And, you know, I don't have anyone around me who's been through it, who has, you know, gotten their degree and are looking for a corporate role. I don't know what I'm doing. And I feel like that has been like a constant theme throughout like my educational career and my professional career now. I literally am just like, it's trial and error. I try it out. If it
Hmm.
doesn't work, I try something new. Because
Wow.
a lot of the times, just like myself, a lot of people just don't know what they're doing and they don't have the people around them to tell them like, oh, this is what you have to do and this is going to work. And it's just like trial and error. If it doesn't work, like, you know, kind of dust it off and keep it pushing. There's gonna be something that's gonna land, and kind of keeping track of the things that are working in your favor and then kind of building off of that. That was like my strategy. I was like, if this is not working, let me just try something new. Okay, that seems to work. Let me build off of that. Let me add
Yeah.
another layer to that, see if that maybe helps boost what I'm trying to do. And if it did, I kept building up on it. And if it didn't, I was like, okay, let me try something else. So yeah, co-op was that for me. It basically is a 4-month program. It's a 16-week
Hmm.
program that trains you in different industries or different careers. I believe it's data analytics, digital marketing, and finance.
Okay.
You get to choose the field or the track that you want to be in, and it's basically just classes. Monday through Thursday, you sit down from 6 to 9 p.m. and they're walking you through basically the most essential skills that you need to land a role in that career. And they provide like
Wow.
a lot of career coaching, a lot of they also provided about a lot of emotional support. We had a lot of workshops of people just coming in and dealing like how to deal with imposter syndrome, how to deal with microaggressions in the workplace, kind of
Yeah.
a lot of these things that you didn't even know you needed to prepare for. But I was like so thankful that I, you know, got to participate in all those workshops because it validated what I was feeling internally
Hmm.
and kind of in my head thinking, oh, like maybe it's just me, like I'm just the problem. Maybe I really just don't have what it takes to land a role in the industry that I want to be in. And then them kind of vocalizing that and being like, yeah, this is what we all feel. And then everybody in the
Hmm.
chat being like, thank God I'm not the only one. We're
Yeah.
like, yay, okay, so we're all feeling like super bad about ourselves right now.
Yeah. I'm so glad you said the name because I was totally going to ask you about Coop. So co-op, got it. I was today years old when I learned it was called that. So you recommend that to other people? Obviously, that was a big
Absolutely.
benefit to you. Okay.
Oh my gosh, the role that I'm in right now, I got it because of co-op. I didn't apply for this role at all. It wasn't an application that I sent in. A recruiter reached out to me saying they had seen my resume because co-op basically has like a very big like network of companies that they kind of work
Hmm.
with. At the end of the program, you fill out like an interest form, basically, where you list out your skills and the kinds of industry and roles that you'd be interested in. And my guess is that they send those out, and those are available for recruiters to look at. She like reached out to me and she's like, "Hey, saw your resume. I know that you're looking for data analytics roles, but I have this role as an associate media planner that I feel like you'd be a great fit for. Let me know if you're interested in hopping on a call and chatting." And I was
Yeah.
like, of course, I'd love to. And that's like kind of what started the ball rolling for the role that I'm in right now.
Wow.
Yeah, so it wasn't even like an application that I like sent out, and I was like, oh, okay, so like co-op kind of, they were the reason, and they are the reason why I am where I am at right now.
Awesome. Cool. So, okay, so you did co-op. That's what set you up with the referral. So I'm curious, and I don't know if this is painful for you to go back to, but what was your application strategy looking like? You said it bore no fruit, but what
Yeah.
exactly were you doing?
I think in the beginning when I like just graduated, it's like the typical standard, oh, I'm looking for jobs, probably like on LinkedIn, kind of using that as like a little searching tool to
Hmm.
find the open roles and then just sending in the application. That was it. That was the extent to my strategy.
Okay.
Finding roles, sending my application, and then calling it a day. And
Yeah.
then I think like 2 months in, I'm like, I'm just wasting my time. Like this is not doing anything. How do I even know people are actually looking at my resume? And that was, so let's say I graduated. Yeah, I graduated May. I think by August, I was already doing co-op. So by then, I was like, okay, hold on. Just sending applications doesn't work. I started applying and going into like online recruiting events, kind of like anything
Okay.
that I saw data analytics related, where they were having social networking, like helping new graduates land their dream role. I was like, I'm signing up. And that is how I like started meeting people. And honestly, that's how I started getting referrals. We start talking, I tell them about my journey, like my educational journey, my goals, my aspirations for like what I wanted to do. And they'd be like, oh my gosh, send me a connection on LinkedIn. So I always made sure to like follow up with everyone that I met. Be like, oh my gosh, it was such like I really loved getting to talk to you today
Yeah.
at blank 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 event, so they know like where they met me. Um, and then being like, I would love to continue our chat. Like, would love to hear more about your journey, how you got to where you're at. And that's how kind of I started the conversation, and we'd just be going back and forth, them telling me about their own journey, things that they did, and then kind of bringing up that conversation of like, would you be okay with like reviewing my resume? I think that's when I started having people take a look at my resume.
Hmm.
Up until that point, I didn't know kind of like you had to tailor your resume to each application that you're sending out. I was just sending out the same resume to like everybody. And that's when they were like, well, are you tailoring your resume? And I'm like, no, I'm not. And then they're like, okay, let me walk you through how to do that.
Hmm.
Um, that's when I started tailoring it. And then when doing that didn't work, I was like, okay, so tailoring resumes still doesn't work. So what am I gonna do now? Then I applied to be a member of like rewriting the code. Again, it's another way that I try to like build a community and again finding a place where I could be granted resources to like reach out to people who are recruiting and actively looking for people to like fill in their roles.
Yeah.
Rewriting the code again, it's for more like data analytics, like STEM centered roles where it's
Yeah.
helping women, like the underrepresented group of women, be able to have that connection and have the resources that they need to be able to land a role in STEM. And that is kind of where I ended up having a lot of the recruiting events that I attended. They do like a summit, I think twice a year with like a bunch of companies. Like I'm talking like Amazon, Bank of America, like
Oh,
big
cool.
companies that like
Yeah.
partner with them and they attend these events where essentially after because it's like a whole day event, like it's from like 9 to like 3 or 4, where they're having like workshop moments, and then on top of that they're having like little groups of people meeting one-on-one with a recruiter and
Awesome.
talking about themselves and then being able to build that connection. I think just like doing all of that and seeing what worked and what didn't, that is where I ended up getting a lot of my referrals, which is what ended up helping me land interviews.
Yeah.
Literally, I feel like the only interview that I ended up ever like going on was as a result, like a direct result of me having a referral attached to my application.
Yep.
All of the other ones felt like, well, they probably saw it and rejected it like as soon as it hit the bank. Like as soon as it went into their inbox, the TSA filter probably just like filtered out my resume. So yeah, it's like again, you would then end up in a place where you start to feel helpless. You're like,
Yeah,
there is
because
nothing
there's
that
no feedback.
helps.
Like if you got a
Exactly.
rejection, like that would be one thing, but yeah, you're like in a vacuum. I think you said that
Hmm.
earlier. Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah. Okay, so how many interviews did you wind up going on?
I think I ended up doing, and this is sad, 4 interviews in the course of the year that I was unemployed, which I'm like, okay, like out of, and I tracked the amount of applications that I sent out, like built out an Excel sheet, like as soon as I started,
Yeah,
um,
that's
where I'm
awesome, by the way.
literally like just tracking what, because I'm like, I can't keep in my head knowing what I'm sending out. Kind of
Yeah.
also, that was kind of a way that I was tracking also what am I doing that's working.
Hmm.
Because if I change my strategy, like this first 2 weeks that I'm doing this one thing that I'm trying out, am I getting any callbacks for this specific strategy that I'm trying? It was kind of my way
Yeah.
to keep my thoughts organized and seeing what worked and what didn't. Um, I think I sent over 1,000 applications
Okay.
and only got called back for 4, and that was because I had a referral of people like in the back end being like, "I vouched for her. She's good. Give her a chance." And so
And
it just, I think that just really portrays the kind of job market that all these students are facing and why it's so difficult. People are not wanting to hire people who have no industry experience, but that's a very hard thing to ask for people who are spending all their time trying to build also a degree that you want them to have, you know?
yeah.
So it's like,
Well,
so
that's curious. I mean, you highlighted earlier, in hindsight, did the master's degree help
I feel like it helps once you're in the industry. I don't think at this point, the
you?
way
Okay.
that the market is right now, I don't think it helps you land a role. It helps you maybe get promoted. And I think that is, as I'm like experiencing the corporate world right now and just kind of observing how things happen, seeing my master's and my educational career as a way that's going to help me get to where I want to be. But I don't think as of now, I'm like, it didn't help me land the role that I'm in
Yeah.
right now. It's
Do you
helping
feel
me.
like, okay, so it wasn't a ticket in the door, obviously.
Yeah.
Do you feel like the things that you learned are actually useful to you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Even in the role that I'm in right now, which has nothing to do with data analytics, because it's a media planning role,
Yeah.
there is a lot of data analytics that takes place in the role, regardless.
Yeah, so
And a
see,
lot.
I was gonna circle back to that, but you hit it already. Yeah, don't say it's not a data role just because it doesn't have data analyst in the
It doesn't
title. Yeah.
exactly, and that's I think the thing that got me. One of the things that I
Hmm.
ended up realizing as I was applying, that I was like so tunnel visioned into only applying for data analytics roles
With
that
it in the title, that you weren't
yes,
looking at things that were,
I wasn't
contained the
looking
work that you
at
wanted to
like
do.
ways that other roles could help me build the skills that I need as
Yeah.
a data analyst. I was literally, it was just a tunnel vision. I think it's something that we kind of all like after college, we're like, well, I studied for this, so
Hmm.
logically I'd look for roles that are that such and such title. So for me, it was like I was looking for all the alternatives of like something that had analyst in it,
Hmm.
like marketing analyst, data analyst, like risk analyst, like anything that I'm like, okay, I'm looking at the description, I think I can do it, I'd apply for. Once I started opening myself up for the possibility of why don't I just look for roles that have my skill set but aren't
Yeah.
particularly, don't have the title that I'm looking to have. That's when I feel like a lot more doors opened up for me. Like I feel
Yeah.
like that is when I started to actually get called back for interviews or even just like get a response back from like recruiters. So I think that is one thing that I do want to like tell people. I know it's really hard, especially if you put in so much work into like the degree and the position that you're like in your head imagining yourself to be. I think ultimately kind of having that like long-term vision, long-term goal of I will eventually get there, but I don't have to start off in that position. And then I know that there are plenty of people who also like graduate and then immediately like end up landing their dream
Yeah.
role as whatever it is that they're looking for. But I think sometimes opportunities present themselves to you that are going to help you be in an even better place that you never imagined you'd be and like open up opportunities for you to maybe see things that you didn't think you'd be interested in. Like in the role that I'm in right now, I never imagined I'd be in the entertainment industry, but here I am learning so much and like loving every second of it.
Yeah.
And every time I speak with like my coworkers and people who are in different roles in the entertainment industry, I'm like, huh, that sounds fun. That sounds interesting.
Yeah.
Kind of just like it's opening up my eyes to being like, it doesn't have to just be a straight up data analytics role. There are so many ways in which the analytical skill comes really in clutch with different kinds of roles. And I'm seeing it with my role that I'm in today so much. Like we do so much data analytics, especially because we're, building out a plan for our client and kind of letting them be like, hey, so this is what we recommend and this is why we recommend it. Like we have to have data to back up what we're recommending and being like, hey, based on the last few campaigns, we're seeing that this specific vendor is actually rendering a lot like higher ROAS for what we're trying to get. And kind of everything that I learned in my master's, kind of understanding the scope of your project and then gathering the data and really analyzing the data to correlate with what specifically it is that you're looking for and building out that storytelling, which is like primarily what we do as planners as well. Like we're storytelling to our client, like this is what we're doing and this is how we're going to render the results that we really want to get. I don't think I would have these skills if it wasn't for my career, like my educational career at all. And it is feedback that I've received from like my managers and my boss, like, hey, we love this, like keep going at it. Like,
Yeah.
you have a master's in data analytics and it shows in your work ethic and honestly sets you apart from the other associates that we've had in the past, because we're able to see that you're really leveraging your data analytical skills in this role and it's really helping set your work apart.
Yeah. A couple of things that I wanted to highlight just from the stories that you've told so far is, I mean, I love the kind of grind culture kind of gets a bad rap now. But, I'm not talking about like people coming to work on Saturday and, posting about how hard they're working on LinkedIn. But like you talking about like you didn't just like headbutt the front door over and over again for 6 months doing nothing. You
Yeah.
immediately like you did it for a little while. You did it for long enough to sit there and take stock and say that this is not working.
Yeah.
And then from there, you said, okay, well, what other approach can I take?
Mm-hmm.
And you started looking for other avenues. So you found co-op, you found rewriting the code, you found all of these different ways that you could spend your time and energy
Mm-hmm.
other than just reinforcing failure and continuing to spin on the hamster wheel.
Yeah.
Where does that, and that's obviously something that's just genetic to you, because I'll be honest with you, I don't see the majority of the people in your position doing things like that. Where does that come from? Like, what is that just ingrained in you? Like,
I mean, it has a lot to do with my upbringing as well. Again, I'm a first gen. I'm from the Latino community, and we grind. Like, if something doesn't work, we grow up with the action-driven mentality. I get it. I truly, as someone who was in the same position as you were, being in that position of feeling hopeless and kind of being like, there's nothing that I'm doing that's working. And what's the point of me trying so hard if it feels like nothing, it's worth nothing. Like I'm working so hard. It feels like you're in a hamster wheel running and it's like, it doesn't matter how hard I run, I'm in the same place. So why am I working so hard? And there were moments for sure where I was like, whatever, like I'm not gonna do anything. I'm just gonna, whatever. I'm gonna stop. But then it was my mentality of like, okay, I understand it's not working, but why is it not working? What can I do differently to make it work? You have to have that action-driven mentality, because if you're just stuck in wishful thinking, that's all it's going to be. Like what you're hoping, your goal is only going to be a vision. It's only going to be something that you wish you had and not something that you're actively working towards. So like for me, I was just building out like a plan. I'm like, okay, this is where I want to be. What can I do to get myself there? Right now, I'm in stage 1 of trying to get myself to like my 5-year goal, to my 1-year goal. what can I do to get myself there? And if something is not working, then let me try something new. If like the stairs are not working, let me take the elevator. The elevator is not working, let me call a helicopter. I gotta do something to get myself there. So it's just kind of having that mentality of like, if it doesn't work, even though it's hard, maybe reach out to the people who might have an idea of what you can do differently. And again, that always comes back to that community. Like you have to build a community of people who kind of have that foundational understanding of what can you do. Co-op provided me with career coaches. As an alumna, you have access to these career coaches, and honestly, that is who I always ended up going back to when I had an interview or anything. Even during my job searching process, once I was like, I don't think it's working, I reached out to my co-op career, and I love him. His name is Jonathan. I was like, hey Jonathan, like I don't see anything working. Can we have like a quick meeting so we can run through maybe things that I can do differently to find roles, to apply for roles? And he was like, absolutely, let's meet. Every time I got out of my call with Jonathan, I felt so much lighter. I was like, okay, like I got this. I'm figuring it out. I'm walking towards something. But I feel like sometimes you lose track of what it is that you're working so hard for. And sometimes you need someone to ground you and be like, you're doing okay. You're doing what you're supposed to be doing.
So he's giving you half pep talk, half strategy session.
Yeah, he's like, let's figure it out. You're okay. I know it feels like you're drowning, but you're gonna be okay. We're gonna figure something out. And really, again, having that person or someone who can calm you down and ground you to be like, okay, I understand it feels like you're not going anywhere, but as long as you keep working, you're working towards something,
Yeah. Well, I love the fact that, so earlier you touched upon, got it, the job market is not, it's not the same as it used to be. It's not just a get degree, apply, get
Yeah.
job.
Yes.
There's much more to it now.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that I see people doing is I see people using that as an excuse. And I don't think they know they're doing it. They're not sitting there immediately going, woe is me, and kind of bunkering down, but
Yeah.
eventually they get there. And you talked about having some sort of instincts towards wanting to quit, wanting to kind of mail
Mm-hmm.
it in. But from there, you immediately, what I take from your journey is you immediately went towards radical accountability and you said, I can do something about this.
Yeah.
And so, that grind is not just, do the same thing harder because, 10 times 0 is still 0 and you
Yes.
were getting nothing out of the process. So you realized, hey, work harder, sure, maybe that's required, but work differently. And you went and figured out what that different thing looked like or different things. That's where the kind of special sauce is. And that's the thing that I find is probably an example for people out there is like, hey,
Mm-hmm.
you can take accountability for this.
Yeah.
Like the job market doesn't decide your fate.
Mm-hmm.
You can make a change.
Yeah. And kind of just for me also, I think it's just like how I am. I'm a very optimistic person. So I'm like, I have to find the silver lining in all of it. So as I was unemployed, I was like, what can I do with my time to make it productive? Like, I don't want to just be sitting in front of a screen sending in applications. I applied, I applied to be a sub. So that's when I started working with Swing.
Okay.
I started working with Swing, I believe August. So around the same time that I started co-op is when okay. I'm telling you, like July and June and August were like, it was the
That
month.
was a creative time for you. I see that.
No, it was when I was like, I'm done. I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm done sitting around. I'm done waiting to like get called. I'm done just feeling bad about myself and feeling bad about the fact that I'm not getting anywhere. I'm gonna start doing something about it. So I'm like, I'm gonna start working, even if it's not in the field that I want to be in. I want to make money, and it's not because I needed it. Because I live with my parents, and my parents are like the best parents in the world, and they were like, "You do what you gotta do.
Oh,
We got you."
nice.
And so it wasn't for me. It wasn't because I needed financial stability, which like I thank God for that because not everyone is in the same position as I am, and that it was something that I like. It retrospectively, I understood that from the very beginning because of the people that I graduated with. So I knew a lot of them were international students. So they had a very short window after graduating to be able to get like sponsored to stay in the country. So I was like, as bad as I feel right now, I still have to be thankful for what I have. And I have to look at the silver lining. Right now, I don't have to work, but I want to work because I also don't want my resume to have like empty spots of like, okay, well, what were you doing between this time and that time?
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
that is why I looked into co-op as well, because I was like, my resume needs to show how action driven I am, and how I'm
Hmm.
not just sitting around like sending in applications. Because very early on, I realized it wasn't going to be easy to land a role. And I was like, if it's going to take me 6 months or a year to land a role, I want to at least be able to show that gap between finishing school and landing my first role to be productive. So someone who's looking at my resume is going to be like, oh, well, she graduated May, August, she started co-op. And co-op is literally just, it's like a program where it's a boot camp that you're doing to help
Yeah.
you build your careers, career development. So I was like, I need to also have recruiters see I'm not just sitting around waiting for the job to like land in my lap. I'm not just working toward that one thing. Like I'm really diversifying my resume, if you may.
Yeah.
And that's also why I applied to swing. It gave me that like freedom to be able to work from 8 to 3, like the normal elementary school hours. And then from 3 to like 6, I had to kind of work on sending in applications and on co-op materials that I needed to work on. From 6 p.m. to 9 p.m., I worked on co-op, and then I went to bed and I woke up the next day and started all over again. It was just doing something to make sure that I was being productive with my time
Yeah.
and making sure that my efforts were kind of leading me somewhere.
Well, and I guarantee that first of all, that extra effort was noticeable. I know having reviewed your resume, which that was another thing. You volunteered as soon as we were doing a show, and it's like, hey, we're doing some resume thing. I think it was when I was still doing that project with Maven,
Mm-hmm.
and you were one of the first to be like, yep, I'm in.
Yeah.
And so you were out there volunteering, and that's just, I mean, you're just creating energy around you as far as I'll do this, and I'll do this, and I'll do
Yeah,
that. And you never know which thing is going to open up an opportunity for you. And it
exactly.
may not even be that thing. It may be the thing like, I pull Vicky Torres' resume up on my show, and there may be someone else watching that who says, hey, that looks like a skill set I can use. Like maybe I'll call her to come in for an interview.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just sometimes it's just the action of putting yourself out there and saying, "Me, I'll go. Like I'll do it."
Yes.
That then opens you up to the opportunity that eventually becomes yours and becomes your full-time employment.
Yeah, and I feel like the journey, like the unemployment journey, really, that was the one thing that I like, the constant theme that that kept seeing, which was like getting out of your comfort zone. Even just my education and career, I started building onto that. I was a very shy, quiet, in the back
Can't
of
see
the
that.
classroom, never raise my hand kind of girl. And
Wow.
I mean,
Okay.
it also came as a result of me like, I was born in Ecuador, so I moved into the States when I was 10.
Okay.
So, I had to learn the language and grow accustomed to the culture. And that kind of just led for me to be more shy and more kind of conservative. Like, I don't want to talk to anybody. Like, they're going to judge me, make fun of me, even though I never really cared. Because, like, the second anyone made fun of me, I'd be like, principal, someone's saying something about me. It was never that. I think it was just like this self-conscious thing of like, they're kind of not there never being a space for me to speak up, and kind
Hmm.
of being like, oh, like, would anyone really care what I have to say? Will they think that I'm like just ignorant about it or like not know about it because I don't know the language that well? And then kind of just that internalized into like high school where I was just like very quiet. Once I started college, I was like, no, girl, we gotta do something different. We gotta change, especially being in like the STEM field. I was in information technology, so like very early on, I was like, oh my gosh, there's a classroom of like 20 people, and I'm like the only girl in it. How
Wow.
intimidating! And to me, again, it's because of the way that I was raised. It wasn't something that like intimidated me. It like pushed me to work harder. But I was very cognizant of the fact that it could be an environment that could make people or women in my position be like, I don't really want to pursue
Hmm.
this career. And I reached out to like the chairwoman of my department, and I was like, hey, like, do you know like what the dropout rate is for like women in the computer science department? And she was like, yeah, like it's very high. It's significantly higher than the guys. And I was like, okay, well, let's do something about that. And I built my Women in Technology organization because I wanted to create an environment, a safe space for women to understand that they're not the only ones pursuing a career in this industry. And I wanted them to feel supported to pursue a career that they were passionate about, despite the fact that maybe they were the only person or the only woman in the classroom. Because you
Yeah.
do get microaggressions in a classroom when you're the only girl. The assumptions that you like, when you're asking for help, the assumption is that you want the answer, not that you want like the logic behind the answer. And
Yeah.
so whenever you'd be like, oh, hey, like I'm stuck on this line of code, like, can you help me? Can you walk me through like how you got your answer? They'd be like, here's the whole code sheet. And you're like, that's not really what I asked for
Yeah.
though.
I want to learn this.
Yeah, like I want to
Yeah.
understand how we're getting there. Like, and then it's kind of just building that community and helping the other female students understand like, hey, we're in this together. And then providing them with a lot of career resources. Like I hosted a lot of workshops, a lot of mock interviews, kind of providing them with the resources they needed to be successful outside of the classroom, and kind of just building that. So for me, it was like, if you don't see it happening, something that you want. For me, it was like that space where anyone can feel comfortable speaking about what makes them uncomfortable. Anyone can just bring up their concerns, their aspirations, their dreams.
Yeah.
I wanted that. And I was like, it doesn't exist, but just because it doesn't exist doesn't mean we can't make it happen. So again, it's like that action driven mentality of let's make it happen and let's see what comes out of it, you know?
Yeah. Feels like
So
we could do a whole nother podcast episode. Just like, I kind of, I remember looking at your profile and seeing like, okay, yeah, women founder and president. Okay, cool. And I was so focused on the employment and the education because that's what I know about you
yeah.
that yeah, when you talked about that, it's like, man, that's impressive. Like we we could do a whole nother podcast on that. Maybe we will someday.
I'd love to. Oh my gosh. It was
Yeah, we'll do a
such
return engagement.
it's a passion thing
Absolutely.
that I like love, and it's
Are you
like
still working on that?
it's I after I graduated, I was still in contact with trained.
Okay.
After leaving the torch, I was like, let me
Man,
pass on the torch to someone who was equally as passionate about the purpose and the
awesome.
mission of the club. And I'm constantly in contact with my chairwoman of the department, and we're constantly just talking about how much it's grown since I started.
Wow.
Like now, I think we're like at 100 members, and because it's not just the women, the technology women, and at the university, it's like all women. Like
Yeah.
anyone pursuing a career. We have people from the biology department, from the sociology department, from the political science department. It's become like a community. Really, just we're all building each other up for success. Basically, like no one's competition. We're all in it together, and
Awesome.
your win is my win. You know.
Yeah. No, that sounds fantastic. I'm glad we yeah, I'm glad we brought it around to that. So we could so speaking of whole other episodes, we do need to land this plane at some point. And I was gonna kind of be like, hey, time to pay it forward. How can you but you clearly are already doing that. Real quick, what recommendations do you have? Couple of minutes. If you've
Mhm.
got a couple of nuggets to pass on to people um, following behind you, be they any person, women, Hispanics, whatever. What are your recommendations for people that are out there and maybe they're coming up on the 6 month mark and they're hitting the panic button and they're like, hey, this is not working for me?
Yeah, I would say again, there are like a few things that I came across that really just helped me. Again, you have to go out, even if it's not like going in person. There are a lot of online events, a lot of online social
Yep.
networking opportunities that you can sign up for, and not only is it gonna make you feel better coming out of it, because you're really going to see that you're not the only one in this position. You're going to come out of it with a lot of connections with people that are going to hopefully, if you build the relationship organically and kind of continue to reach out, like it truly is not just about like, oh, I met them and they'll remember me and they'll reach out to me. No, like you have to take that first step forward. Like
Yep.
every single thing that you do, a lot of the times in this process, you have to be the one who takes that first step. And so reaching out to people after you've attended recruiting events and tell them like, hi, thank you so much for talking to me. Like, I really enjoyed our conversation. I appreciate you taking the time to speak with me. I'd love to continue the chat. I'd love to talk to you about your journey, blah, 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 blah. And kind of leading into that segue of let's talk about my resume. Let's talk about maybe potential opportunities at their company that they might be having. I know, like, after conversing with a lot of these recruiters, or even just people who were working at certain companies, they'd be like, hey, actually, I saw my company's hiring for XYZ role. Let me know if you'd like to apply. I'd love to give you a referral. And that is something that I'm doing right now, that I get to go to panels and people will like reach out to me. And kind of being on the other side, on the other end of it, I'm like, oh my gosh, like, yes, you're working so hard. I'd love to be able to be that step that can hopefully get you a tiny bit closer to whatever it is that you're hoping to get out of it. So again, attend a lot of recruiting events, not even just recruiting, but just social networking events in general. You never know who you'll meet. Like Albert said, there's so many people that you end up meeting, and you never know who might be like the key to that door that you're trying to get opened. Really tailoring your resume, kind of taking a outside look of your resume and being like, if I didn't know anything about myself, if I didn't know myself the way that I do, what are the key storytelling things that you want to make sure that stands out to recruiters?
Yeah,
And
conveying
then,
value, speaking their language, absolutely.
yes, like really just like getting into their headspace. And because again, they're only looking at your resume for like a minute max. So you really want to make sure that what they're looking at is really you want to make sure that what they're looking at is what you want them to remember about you. It's like, okay, I want them to know that I did this, this, and that. So make sure that that's at the top of the page, and that it stands out to them. Because the way that I'm looking at, we're hiring at my company right now, and it's a quick process. Sometimes it's.
Are you involved?
No, I'm not involved.
Oh, okay.
But I'm seeing, literally was announced like maybe a couple weeks ago. Oh, we're gonna like add on to the team, and starting last week, even that same week, we were already having interviews. So it's a very fast process where they're trying to get people in and really vetting everybody out. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's how quickly everything goes down. Like a position opens and 2 weeks later, they're already like onboarding. So it's really you hopping onto the opportunity as soon as it comes up. What was the other thing that oh my gosh, there was one thing. It was not resume related.
You'll think about it once we're done.
I'll remember it when it comes to me, but it was.
Sorry, we'll include like a supplemental note or something.
Yeah, I'm like, what was it? Because I'm like, I know that
I think we got a bunch. I mean, you fired off like 4 or 5 like, magic bullets right there. Those are great.
Yeah.
I felt like I was writing some of those. I was like, man.
Well, I'm glad. I'm hoping I think the one thing that I like always hope to provide for people when I do these kinds of things, whether it be like panels or just like a podcast.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because we've all listened to so many dull panels.
Yeah, and it's like
exactly.
Just hoping that like someone got out of it and being like, that one thing she said.
Yep.
I'm gonna do that, and hopefully that helps you out and really allows you to like, what's the word, like steer gear wherever it is that you want to get. So yeah, just attend a lot of social networking events. Really like take a personalized look into your resume. A lot of, oh my gosh, this is a thing. Practice interviewing. Honestly,
yes,
you have to practice interviewing. We have to do like a whole other.
Don't wing it. Don't like just go in and be yourself is the worst advice ever. Definitely go in and be yourself.
Yeah, like
rehearse your answers.
But be prepared. We have to like do another thing, strictly going into like interviewing techniques, because the way I went into like everything interviewing related, that's a whole other thing that we have to talk about, because there's a lot that you need to think about when it comes to interviews. And co-op taught us a lot of strategies and a lot of techniques to keep in mind when you're interviewing. I had my sister be like, okay, girl, like, here are questions, let's run to it. You have to have someone who like is comfortable giving it to you raw, because she was like, no, you're talking too much.
And not be worried about your feelings.
Yeah, because I was like, just do it. And your feelings will get hurt. Like, I was not offended, but it helped.
Better to get it hurt in rehearsal than hurt in the interview.
Exactly. So I was like,
or just nobody says anything to you and you just don't get the job.
Especially because when you're interviewing for jobs, you don't get feedback. You just say, oh, sorry, like, we've decided to move on with other candidates. And that's it. They don't tell you could have done this differently, you could have done that. So it's basically just you psychoanalyzing yourself and being like, what could I have done? What could have I done differently? Where can I improve my interviewing skills? So reaching out to people that will help you do mock interviews. I do that all the time. Like anyone who reaches out and they're like, hey, I'm like, let's hop on a call. I'd love to do mock interviews with you because I've been there.
Yeah.
And all the feedback that I got with having mock interviews with not just industry professionals, but even just people who are close to you who will tell it to you straight helped me significantly with my interviewing skills. Because I know when I spoke with the people who ended up hiring me and like my teammates, and they're like, yeah, like your interviewing skills were like so great. Like it was very polished. Like you spoke very well, and you never like just like yapped. It was always purposeful. Like what you were saying led somewhere, which like ended up hooking us in. So yeah, we definitely have to do another podcast just strictly about like
Absolutely.
interviews, because interviews is a whole beast besides just like sending in applications. That very important.
I have all these questions about interviews that we didn't even get to. So yeah, we definitely need to do a 2.0.
Yes, I'd love to. It's a lot, you guys. It's a lot.
It is.
It's a difficult journey, but it's gonna be worth it. When I tell you the amount of times that I cried going to bed, being like, "This, I'm not going anywhere. Like, I'm literally just gonna end up working for whatever like gives me money because I'm not gonna be in a role that's gonna make me feel fulfilled."
Yeah.
And now I am where I am, and I'm like, okay, like everything that I did led me somewhere, and it truly is where I am right now. It was a direct merit of like having done the things that I did, going into co-op, even just like working for swing education. I built so many skills, like transactional skills, that I was able to
substitute
use
teacher.
in
Are
this
you kidding me?
position. Oh my gosh, it was so, I loved my students. It was like just doing all that, being in a structure that allowed for me to build the skills that I'm now able to use at my current role.
Yeah.
Everything works toward building your character and building who you want to be. So putting yourself in those situations and in those positions, and even if you feel like you're going out of your comfort zone, that is building your character, and it's going to build the character that's going to make you stand out as a candidate when you start interviewing. So it's all working towards something, and you're not alone.
Yep. It's all for your good. Okay, well, Vicky Torres, how can people find you? Where do you hang out on the interwebs?
I hang out in LinkedIn. I love LinkedIn. That is literally where a lot of people reach out to me, and that is where I love it's easier. Like you know kind of what you're going to be talking about in LinkedIn. And yeah, I'm just working on building my LinkedIn to help people, like really just help whoever wants my help in the job searching journey, even just again in anything that you're applying for, like reach out. I'd love to do mock interviews. I'd love to review your resume. That is just what we're here for. It's a community. I feel like that's why I love LinkedIn. It truly is a community of people helping people. And that is where you can find me.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, we know you're definitely invested in helping your community, and I appreciate that. Well, Vicky, that is all the time we have for this episode, but we'll definitely work on getting you back on the show. Been a pleasure having you on.
Oh my gosh, thank you for having me. I loved our conversations.
Absolutely. With that, folks, Semper Fidelis. We'll talk to you later. All right. Friends, thanks for joining me for a great show. If you'd like to hear more, I'll have the guests' contact info in the show notes below. If you'd like to get involved with Data Career Academy and find out more about what we do, please visit my website, themajordata.com. Or you can join my LinkedIn group for exclusive free content and first looks at what I'm working on. With that, Semper Fidelis, and I'll talk to you later.